Welcome to the Energy, Environment, and Land Use Committee meeting on this June 15th. Is there any courtesy of the floor? No. Okay. First order of business is the discussion of Norbath Trail easement.
Good evening. So the Norbath Trail, we have approximately 6 miles built currently. To give you a kind of a background of the Norbath Trail, it was first purchased through Northampton County back in, I believe, in the 80s, and the first construction really happened in 94 to 96 with some assistance from the Pennsylvania Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. That first section left 2 gaps, one on the west and one on the east. The one on the west side that would connect the Norbath Trail into the borough of Northampton, the DNL, that was completed back in 2017. And now, after years of finalizing easements with Keystone Cement Company, we finally have an agreement to move forward for an easement with the Bath Borough Authority, which would be the final connection into the borough of Bath, completing nearly 7 miles of trail. The Norbath Trail is the only trail that the county owns, maintains. It's under full ownership of us. So we've been doing a lot of hard work of getting this to where it is now. Bath Borough itself, the businesses, the residents, they're very excited on this. The administration there is looking at expanding it up into Kifcallen Park. This will actually end at Mill Street, where the new bridge a few years ago was put in. There'll be new parking trailhead location that'll connect to there. But with the redevelopment of the roadway that's happening in Bath in the upcoming years, they're looking at pedestrian and bike crossing enhancements up on, I think it's 512 there, to get up and over into Kifcallen, which connects to the elementary, and then eventually have plans to connect out to Tusks Park and Lower Nazareth, and hopefully eventually connect to Tatamy and Stockertown as part of a major loop system. So very minimal land as an easement, but a major impact both historically and for our entire trail system in the county.
See, that was 6 miles?
It's roughly 5.5, 6 miles built right now. It kind of dead ends at Jacksonville Road. The park has an extension of the Norbath Trail, but it's really unimproved. It's not part of the portion that we improved over the past year and a half. We do have a DCNR grant already of $300,000 to engineer, design, and construct this new section. So once this agreement is approved, we can move right into design and engineering, hopefully with construction starting next year. So it's kind of a unique and a great thing that we have the money in place to really get it done. So great. That's the Norbath. You guys will have a packet for that'll show the easement area and such. $1, yes.
It's a bargain.
That's the cheapest I could get.
That was good.
Right. The Bath Borough, I mean, I've seen correspondence dating back to 2010, 2012, that they've passed resolutions to help support this project. So it's been a long-term thing for them as well. And I mean, yeah. So they want to see it happen as much as all of us do. And it's, I mean, if you ever drive on 329 there, you can see it is a commuter corridor. There are people that are they're getting on 329 on their bikes to get up to Jacksonville Road to hop on the Norbath Trail there. This will alleviate all of that, make it much safer to connect really Bath Borough residents to the DNL Trail. And maybe they can do 5K, 10K races between the boroughs or anything else that they would. But I know several business owners that have been looking at this as an enhancement for the borough, tourism, and really to build around the trail, bike users and walkers and things like that.
That's great. Thank you. Any questions? No? Okay. Do you want to give the update on parks?
Yeah, I have a couple updates. We're almost halfway through the year, so I know Mike gave an update on several of our capital improvement projects at the Capital Improvements Committee meeting. But up at Mincy, we're really moving forward. I'd say we're about 75 to 85% complete as of today. By the end of the week, all the paving should be done. We just put in the first of 2 pit toilets. That one's located on the east side of the shore, or east side parking lot. The other one will go on the west end. It's in production right now, so we'll just wait until that comes. Friends of Mincy Lake and Fish and Boat have been great to work with, both habitat improvements. They're putting different fundraising events through FOML. And if you haven't seen Friends of Mincy Lake social media, there's, I would say, still probably more photographers than fishermen or fisher people up there. There's people walking that trail at all times. There's birders and all types of kayakers and canoers. So it's not just a lake for fishing. It's really an enhanced overall outdoor recreation experience. So it's really good to see. At Louisemore Park, if you haven't heard, apparently it's throughout the county now and throughout the Lehigh Valley that we have the best pickleball courts. We have the most pickleball courts at one location. There was 50 people there doing an open play this morning. Ever since they opened up, we had people at 7:30 in the morning waiting to get in. So everyone is very, very happy, and the word is definitely getting out. It's being heavily used, especially in the morning. So we're working around that and making sure everyone has their fair share of time. But there's organizations that go from Palmer to Forks to Bethlehem Township. They have an app that they do open play. They have this whole system that they bring in a whiteboard and fill out names and rotate. We let them go. They know what they're doing, so let them go. It's good to see that you do these things and it gets used quickly.
What organization is that?
Pickleball clubs.
It's just
Apparently there's a professional pickleball organization. We've had people reach out to us to do trainings. So we're working through all of those things right now, but yeah, 50 people just doing round robin play was the thing this morning.
On our website?
We had a social media post that went out. Some of the things that have gotten through the news that said it's coming. When it was under construction, we made sure that we had signs up at the courts for both the tennis and the pickleball that the users would know that it's there. But it is just spread really like fire through the community, especially the pickleball community.
Wow. Because I have seen a couple billboards up about pickleball.
I just saw one of those when I was driving back the other
I was
day.
like,
Yeah.
wow, this is some serious stuff, isn't it?
Not for Louisemore Park,
No.
but yeah, I think the one that I saw was a Parkland one, but it was up in Nazareth area.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's local communities, local organizations that are putting all this together and finding the spots and going out.
That's great.
It is. The Colonial bathroom, the electric, we've been waiting for Met Ed to cut the power at the transfer station there in the park, and the electric work should be completed and inspected hopefully next week, which should finalize the next steps of getting the paving and sidewalk or the concrete work done and get that bathroom open so we can remove the porta potties that are there now. The windmill replacement's scheduled for around the first week of July. Once we get that done, that'll be another great enhancement that I've known people have really wanted to see. With that, we're going to look at pond restoration. That once in the past, I believe there was a large pond in the back. It's still there. Floods at times during major rainstorms, but we'll look at that as another enhancement to the park itself. There's a 7-acre native meadow that's kind of behind the parks office, behind the pond, along Country Club Road. It looks brown, it looks dead. It's supposed to look like that for now. We're gonna do a fall planting, a drill seed fall planting. That'll give us the opportunity to make sure all of the invasive weeds and everything are killed off. We'll do the fall planting, put a cover crop on, and then hopefully in the spring, we'll get nice new flowers. Another thing, I don't know if Mike mentioned this, but kind of a very new project. There's a small rock wall between the pond and our farmhouse. We reached out, Bethlehem Tech reached out to us about looking at masonry projects. So we talked to the union rep here at the county, and we're gonna do kind of a small co-op. There was a small portion that fell apart. So the masonry students need time, they need experience. They're going to come work with O&M, their masonry, and do that project. And hopefully it'll lead to other things that we can kind of expand off of in the future. not a county park, but a major trail system as well, the Two Rivers Trail. We got all of the contracts have been finalized for the north section that's in Bushkill Township. Bushkill Township's going to be doing the construction, and you know that was one of the resolutions that we passed. They're looking to start really anytime, but right now it's their paving season, so probably like August, September timeframe is when they're going to be starting to construct that 1 mile section in Bushkill. We have on the LVTS agenda an amendment to the scope of the TASA grant that we were awarded 2 years ago. We were awarded $654,000, and as you know, another $654,000 has been awarded through DCNR grants. So we have that 1.2. With all of that, and with the work of Hanover Engineering, Bushkill Township doing the construction, we really cut a lot of costs. We were able to work with PennDOT and DEP to get large culverts back down to standard PennDOT design culverts. That cut a lot of cost, and we now are confident that we can build 2 miles of trail with the funds that we have in place from both TASA and DCNR and connect Jacobsburg down to the Stockertown Plainfield Trailhead location. A major gap, and it's been since 2013, one of the top 10 gaps in the valley. That'll hopefully be closed out next year, or at least the following year. But we have the money to do that, get that constructed. A little bit of amendments to the engineering and permitting, but we're right there and we're going to move. So that's a great accomplishment that's upcoming as well. Small trailhead down at Hexenkampf Preserve was just put in, some fencing and a little bit better pull-off area instead of being on that road there. We cleaned out some of the brush to have better sight distance. We did a trail, a loop trail in that back area last fall, but we didn't get around to really putting a safe location or a safe trailhead location in. Now that's open, so we just got that completed this past week. We have a sign that we're building, a wooden sign, not like the Court and Steel ones that you see in some of our other ones, but we are putting together a wooden one that will be right at that location so people will know where to pull in. Yep. Over at Wayne Grube, it's been a little bit of a tough season to get things growing in this late spring, early summer. The meadow the seeds are there. We did a late fall drill seed planting. There's some coming up, but it might be hopefully this rain keeps coming over the next week or so. But we're going to keep monitoring that and adjust our tactics as needed. That's all the way in the back behind Pavilion 1 and 2, behind the ball field, where we did riparian buffer plantings. The good thing is the plantings that we did do and the native plants in the entryway coming in are thriving. So it shows you plant native, they're drought resistant, they can really tolerate more of our climate, our standards of drought, rain. They're doing really good. So I'm happy to see that the effort that was put in for that is showing off.
Great.
Down at Wyatuk, we did a lot of selective tree removal, opened up the canopy. It's a lot brighter down there. Hopefully that allows some of the grass to grow more and not have as many mud areas. There was a lot of dead ash, a lot of tree of heaven that was treated years ago, 2 or 3 years ago when spotted lanternfly really came in and started. We were worked with the USDA and the Conservation District on kind of the first steps of doing the banding, doing treatments on tree of heaven, leaving some of the specimens as a host tree. Those now have died off, so we really needed to get in there before they were a problem and take those down. So that's what we've been doing down at Wyatuk. Hopefully within the next week or so here, they'll be pouring the foundation for the pavilion, and then they'll start construction right after that. This summer, early fall, we'll be putting out an RFP for a new restroom facility down there as well. That one's pretty outdated. It's been there since the beginning. We'll upgrade that. New pavilion, new restroom, really enhance that park and that trailhead location. With it as a trailhead location to the DNL, we lost the southern entrance exit, however you look at it, to the DNL at the park. There was a tree that fell across the canal and hit the ramp that connects to the bridge. We've been in contact with the Pennsylvania State Parks as part of the Delaware Canal State Park, and we'll be working with them to get that ramp fixed. But as of right now, there's still the access on the north side when you come down into Wyatuck, you can cross one of the old canal areas and hit the DNL there, but that southern access is still not accessible.
Great. Can you tell us, how is the spotted lanternfly issue this year? Because I haven't seen as many, I guess they would be in the nymph stage right now?
They are in the nymph stage. We've contacted the Conservation District. Stephen Kloiber, who's our vector control, will be out doing bandings in our parks again. As of now, I don't know. I haven't seen many nymphs, but what we've seen over the years is they kind of congregate and then they disperse and they just kind of hop around. I think I saw something that some of the neighboring states and even farther out west are really starting to see them now. So
Okay.
I think they're here. I know they're here. I don't know if we'll see the waves that we saw when they first came in and kind of congregated, and then a lot of the techniques that we've been doing with the banding and the scraping and things like that are helping. But it's like some of the other invasive pests can manage them, but I don't know if we can really get rid of all of them.
Because I really haven't seen as many.
I think they're the really small nymph size right now, yeah. So,
I guess we'll know in August.
well, when the kids start pulling their flip-flops off and running and chasing, then I'll let you know, because they like to do that.
That was Becky Bartlett's favorite pastime here. I remember that. Go ahead, Mr. Locke.
The Conservation District normally has those, and they also give us some. Yeah, all of that funding goes through them, and then they disperse it.
Okay. Mr. Cusick?
Question, you mentioned Wyatuck Park. In Williams Township, we had ash trees, lost a lot of them. I lost 2 in my yard. Did you have any problems, or did you lose any ash trees?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not just Williams Township. It's really a lot of Pennsylvania. If you head up north, a lot of the state game lands, you'll see it looks like they clear-cutted, but they're taking out ash. A lot of the stuff at Wyatuck, along the Norbath, we have to address that, and that's actually, we're really looking at priority lists for the Norbath, 5 miles of trail. How do you handle that? So we're looking at priority ones that are safety concerns to get those down first, and then replant or take down and trim others along the way. But it's one of those diseases that are not just, it's not just here, that's pretty widespread.
Yeah, what are you doing with the wood? I just had somebody haul it away.
It is,
I don't
we're
know.
still in a quarantine area, so, I mean, that quarantine area is probably expanded half the East Coast right now, but even with the spotted lanternfly, you're only certain spots allowed to move it out, chip it up, use it as firewood.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, because that's because of emerald ash borer,
Yeah.
so you don't want to spread it. Okay. Mr. Locke?
I remember reading, that's the last thing they want you to do is use it for firewood, because people cut the trees down, they move the firewood, and now they're spreading the ash beetle. And they claim that was a lot of this spread was people, these trees would die off. Quite honestly, I made the same mistake before I realized this. When this first happened, there was an ad in the paper, free ash trees, it's wonderful firewood, I burn it. I brought it home from Bucks County. 2 years later, I had ash, and then we started realizing, and I lost 3 ash trees on the property because of it. But that, so it's a shame, because it's awesome firewood, but you gotta be, keep it close to, the word is keep it close to where you're cutting it.
Yeah.
With the idea that you're not spreading it to other areas. I mean, it's devastating. I know the state park actually closed trails in Knockemixon, because the way these ash trees work too, they would die off, and they're famous for snapping. They snap off, and so they see it as a real hazard to have these trees, and they actually shut down parts of Knockemixon on that trail because there's so many dead ash trees. They got prices for millions of dollars to clean it out, and they're slowly doing it. But so it is a safety issue. It's, you know, it's and they're everywhere. So.
They become brittle. Yeah, I mean, they become brittle. They're really hollowed on the inside, so cutting them down normal, like cut the bottom, let them fall, that's not really the best procedure. So when we have a bunch like that, we really get them contracted out, like certified arborists that know what they're doing and have that training specifically to take those measures, and the equipment really to take those measures to safely bring them down.
And as a follow-up, while we're talking about trees, I know you did something with the chestnut tree restoration project. How is that, is that working? Would you recommend that I plant one, or?
So the program that we did, I think that was about 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
We're still kind of fine tuning, still working on that. Some of the trees that we planted are doing really good. Some of the trees that we planted are doing really bad. So we were supposed to encircle with the native chestnut, and then they're having this hybrid to put in the middle. We haven't had the success of all of them growing to have that transplant be planted yet. So
Are they producing nuts yet?
they're not that tall that they are yet.
Okay.
Ours are about almost 5-6 feet. They're starting to really break above their cages. But no, I haven't seen any kind of nut on them yet.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. So I mentioned about the Norbath and the trees. We're looking at that as a priority process to safely take those down that are in definite need and then move forward with others. Some of the other things, the Lehigh River just finished up this past weekend. Executive McClure and I were at the Route 33 boat launch and had lunch with the group. It was a 2-day event this year. I don't know if you remember, but it was really hot. I don't know what happened that it came through, but I mean, it felt like we were in the river at times. The Delaware River Sojourn is next week as well, coming through 2 days within the county here. Thursday, Friday, I believe they'll be in the area. They're camping up at Driftstone and then floating through. But we really see it as an opportunity to help promote Northampton County, help promote Northampton County Parks and all of the other things that we're doing. So we'll be offering some of our full-time staff as land crew, about 2 or 3 people, to get them to help out with getting people safely off, safely back in, moving lunches and things like that around. It's all during normal work hours, and we can pull the one crew that's up in the Mincy area anyway. So just a little bit of extra help, as most of those are volunteer run, that we can really help supply some of the staff to make those efforts work. Some of our other partnerships this Saturday up at Tots Gap from 9 to 10:30. Jim Wilson will be working directly with Wildland's new Director of Environmental Stewardship, Brandon Swazer, on a bird ID count up in our Tots Gap conservation area. It's one of the areas that it's only, really an only breeding ground for 2 certain types of birds, bobolinks and meadowlarks, really in this region. It's large open areas of warm season grasses. They're nesting and breeding there. It's also where we have our osprey nests. So if you've ever been up in that area, that's the fields that they're in. They're working with a couple different professors, anywhere from North Dakota State to Rutgers to East Stroudsburg, on the habitat, the maintenance of the habitat, and how these birds are really coming in this area, and how that might promote different areas to look at this habitat to increase breeding of these 2 different birds. We also have a slew of environmental programs coming up. It's on our new reservation system. It's on Wildland's page as well. There's anywhere from bike and boats to hoot hikes to some mom and me programs. So a little bit of all ages available for free through our partnership. And this will all go throughout the year as normal. One thing that we're doing different this year, we're going to hold an event I believe it's every Saturday and Sunday at Lake Mincy. No registration needed, but we'll have 6 or 8 canoes available for free canoeing on the lake. Wildland staff will be there, help train, supervise. It's one of our expectations and kind of one of our programs to get the public out there, not have to go through someone to pay a ton of money to go on a sojourn or 2 other things, but gives them the first experience that they might take those next steps to go get a kayak, go get a canoe, and showcase Mincy off. So those are going to be ongoing through July and August of this year. And if it's successful, we'll really look at maintaining that in the future. But I'm pretty excited. And with how many people are up there at Mincy, I don't think we're going to have a problem getting those boats filled. And really, lastly, if you haven't gotten on Facebook, sitting home at night after your meeting, Norco Parks and Trails, put us on your list. We're trying to keep that updated daily, weekly. Shows off a lot of the partnerships, a lot of the programs and projects that we're doing. Want more of the education to the public of everything that we're trying to do through the funding we receive and our expertise through our staff as well. So just one great more thing. So that's all I have for tonight.
Great. Any questions? Sure.
Yeah, at our previous meeting, Mr. Emili ensured us that Fry's Run, the bridge staging area will be completed sometime later this month. I've always thought that that metal guide rail and that stuff down there isn't the most attractive thing we can do. Do you have any thoughts as to what can be done there to maybe make it a little bit more attractive?
Yep, we actually put in the budget for this year for some split rail fence on the back side of that, where the hill is. The guardrail itself, the same with Mincy. We're looking at options not to replace it or put wood option there because it is a guardrail to keep the safety of the vehicle. It might be something that we can paint to kind of mute the look of it in the landscape. But we'll also look at having a larger parking area restoned that might lead to a better connection to the DNL in that area of Fry's Run. That's another project that we're working with the state park on as well.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? All right, great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brian. And with that, we'll adjourn the meeting. Super awesome. Was that fun or what?